We are California dreaming for round 12 of 25 on the NORC Season 13 calendar. The big, bad, 2-mile D-shaped oval opened some 24 years ago just 40 miles east of LA. It's the Southern California home of NASCAR racing. 200 miles in NASCAR Xfinity Series cars coming at you right now here on Pit Stop TV. Welcome to the virtual Fontana, California. Emerson Arden with Trey Shuttlesworth and Jacob Zala alongside this evening, and we thank you for tuning in. Tempers flared up big last time out at the Nashville Fairgrounds, and while we go from a tight 6/10 mile oval to a 2-mile superhighway, we have to ask the question: will the heat continue to rise under the hot SoCal sun? Trey, thanks for joining me tonight. And as we look at the track, what can you tell us about the challenging aspects of the high speeds and the long corners?
Yep, thank you, Emerson, first of all, for having me tonight. It's going to be a fun one here at the Auto Club Speedway. And admittedly, it's been a long time since I've taken any type of virtual race car onto this version of Auto Club Speedway, which is, I don't want to necessarily call it an older scan per se of the racetrack, but it's not relatively recent, so it's not going to be anywhere near as bumpy or treacherous as you might see at the real-life Fontana whenever it is that NASCAR is able to return to the track, if they do return to it in this configuration. But it's still the name of the game, just in the sense of the track being incredibly bumpy. Hitting your marks is going to be essential, especially with how long these straightaways are. You definitely feel the effects of perhaps, getting into the throttle a little bit later, getting loose off the exit of the corner, which is definitely going to be a guarantee with these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, or B cars, if you will, over the course of 200 miles tonight. But as you can see, it's a track that I would say the banking, at least, it's a little deceiving. It feels nowhere near as banked as 14 degrees in the corners, but there's definitely a fair amount to it, and it's fairly wide. But otherwise, some recent additions to the track, if you want to call them additions, there have been the additions of, if you want to call, grip strips near the top of the racetrack. I haven't seen them myself in action, so I don't know whether they'll come into effect tonight, but I think that's the fun of motorsport, isn't it? The unpredictability factor.
Absolutely. And we, asked drivers last time out at the Nashville Fairgrounds and, after their post-race interviews, how they felt about the Auto Club Speedway. And a lot of them were looking forward to iRacing's, newer version of Auto Club with changing the way how these cars drive at this track. It may be more multi-groove than what we're used to seeing here on the iRacing platform at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to have to wait and find out. We're in the second half of practice, or the closing minutes of practice, really. So we're not too far away from seeing all that action pan out. But that is the layout of what we're tackling tonight with these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars with these NORC Season 13 drivers. Let's take a look at how they stand coming into tonight, and here's the point standings. 4-time now race winner on the season, Daniel Falkingham, got it done, led 2 laps over half the laps last time out at Nashville. 4 wins on the season. Can he break that and go number 5 tonight? Zoltan Herczeg, they're second. Chad Oxendine third. 8 wins amongst the top 3 in points. 51 points separate the top 3. David Shutton right behind Chad Oxendine, only 1 behind him. Then a little bit of a gap, nearly 40 points to gap, or actually over 40 points. We'll find Will Klein and John Barry. They're separated by 3 points in that battle for 5th. Another few points back, we'll find Jared Darling, who's really fast today, at top of the charts right now in practice. He's 7th in the point standings today, 116 back of point leader Falkingham, but he only has 3 points over Zach Lindgren, who has yet to set a practice time yet. So it'll be interesting to see if that battle stays or if that battle starts to fade as we head into the off weekend, the Dega Duels. Aaron Smith there in 9th has also shown a lot of speed here in practice, was in the top 5 for a good majority of the practice session, and Spencer Owens there in the top 10. Trey, talk to us about the second half.
For sure, Emerson. But yeah, just to add a little bit more about the back end, Aaron Smith climbs 5 spots last week, so that's a big gain for him in the point standing. But looking at the back half, you only see a split, or a delta, whatever you want to call it for that matter, of only 31 points, if my mental math is correct, and that's less than a race. So over the course of the next few weeks, a lot can still happen for those couple of spots to get into the NORC playoff. Tommy Gossett, he's by nature, he's a conventionally aggressive driver, so to me at least, it's a bit of a surprise to see him that high up in the point standings, but he's doing enough to stay in contention, so fair enough there. And same to Howie Brisk, both respectively holding that final spot, if you will, since they have the same amount of points. Little shocking to see Cody Miller, who won early into the season. I believe he was, I was going to say he was our Daytona winner, but he was not. In fact, but he only sits 6 points outside of those top 12. Sean Williams, he was our Daytona winner. He sits relatively close. That's what I was looking for. But otherwise, it's just a lot of guys that are having, most of them, I would say, you know, just a couple of flashes of brilliance, and otherwise a lot of struggles. Hayes Booth comes to mind, rather, who finished for the first time last week in the top 10. So perhaps for the likes of Hayes Booth, momentum starting to come into his favor potentially.
Right, and you know, I mentioned it a little bit ago, but we talk about momentum, and I think, you know, when you string these races together week after week, that helps. We're heading into an off week, unfortunately. Next week is an off week, and then in 2 weeks' time, we'll be at the Talladega Superspeedway for the Dega Duels. So if you're really you're starting to spark some momentum, you're gonna have to hold that out another couple weeks if you can get through today's race. Speaking of, you know, what's coming up next, let's take a look at the schedule. I think I'd say relatively at the halfway point, to half of 25, 12 and a half, halfway through this race, is halfway through this NORC season, if you will. Then we get our, I guess, halfway break. The timing of that off week is crazy. And then it gets gnarly. These last 12 races, these last 11 weeks, something to be, it's quite the spectacle. I mean, we go from Talladega to Martinsville to Road America to a traditional mile and a half, if you say traditional, or if you want to say traditional, but it's Atlanta Motor Speedway. There's a lot of character to that track, very difficult in these Xfinity cars after the fresh tires have lost their freshness, if you will. And then the Legacy Daytona, the bumpy version of that Daytona International Speedway. So a lot of fun in this run to the playoffs, Trey. But we look at this playoff schedule, and man, that's something else.
Yeah, and when I initially looked at it, it does in some ways remind me of what we've been seeing in the real-life NASCAR playoffs almost since its inception, if you will, with the likes of, say, Chicago, Atlanta, and Phoenix. But otherwise, there's a lot of, and Texas actually as well, but there's also a lot of very unique elements added to it that you might not always expect in the back end of a stock car schedule during a playoff stint, if you will. Indianapolis to open it. A lot of people don't tend to like stock cars in Indianapolis, but it presents an amazing challenge for drivers just because getting back into the throttle when you're able to get back into it really makes or breaks whether or not your lap is decent. So that's going to be fun to watch over the course of 80 laps there. Then Texas, regardless of your opinions of the new reconfiguration of the track, it can still be a lot of fun, especially with how much off-throttle time you get through turns 1 and 2. Then, of course, we get a stop at a dirt track with the dirt configuration of Bristol Motor Speedway. Probably going to be, you know, a bit chaotic, but that's part of the fun with that particular configuration of the racetrack, regardless of its, you know, dirt or asphalt for that matter. Concrete at Bristol. Darlington, Phoenix, just a couple of tracks, both very different in nature, but both, you know, around the same distance. Around Darlington with these cars is going to be an incredible technical challenge with the throttle modulation. And then moving to 2 intermediates to wrap up the schedule is going to be a lot of fun. The high speeds that you get on intermediate racetracks. Las Vegas to round out, purely a brilliant decision.
Absolutely, and I mean, I think this is a amazingly hand-picked slate of races for this 25 race schedule for NORC's 13th season of action, and I'm glad we've been able to cover, you know, this season, and the first half of it has been phenomenal, and we're here at Auto Club. But don't you go away. We're on the backside of practice now, just a few minutes, but we'll be right back with the qualifying action here at the Auto Club Speedway in just a moment. Don't you go away. Pit Stop TV has NORC Season 13, Round 12 right here, right now.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome, race fans, back to the virtual Auto Club Speedway here in SoCal. It's great to be here for NORC Season 13 action. Qualifying is underway, Trey, and I am thrilled to see who is going to be starting where. The pole sitter may not always be, or the pole might not be the best spot tonight, Trey. Why is that?
It's a great point that you bring that up, and I kind of have to preface it by saying Andrew Cardinale, who couldn't be with us tonight, did an excellent job of preparing us with a lot of information for tonight, such as the fact that a pole winner has never won at the Auto Club Speedway here in the NORC iRacing Series. Doesn't matter the car, just the combination of NORC and Auto Club just hasn't boded well for the pole sitter. And in fact, in the last 6 races here, the winner has come from outside of the top 10 in terms of starting position. You know, it's kind of tough to say whether or not the trends are going to hold up. We'll just have to see what happens over the course of 200 miles tonight. I would have to say, though, the trends are looking in favor of Daniel Folkingham regardless. Just the fact that he won last week and the fact that he was the winner last season in the NORC iRacing Series at the Auto Club Speedway. It would have been the 87 stock cars. So he can definitely wheel it and modulate the throttle quite well around here, and I think that bodes well. Stock for Folkingham, of course, is pretty far up, I would have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And qualifying while underway, we now have 4 times on the charts, and we'll bring up time and scoring there. Aiden Kirker tops the charts over Lindgren Williams, and more times are coming in. I guess let's just get down to the track and see what's going on, and how about it? Let's ride on board with one of our winners. Oh no, that was a bad time on board. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, very incidental timing to go on board with Cody Miller. Looking to see whether or not he got a time in, and by the looks of it, I don't believe he did. It's just that time is starting to run thin if he continues to have mistakes. Now we'll go on board with a guy who's relatively high up in the point standings. He's a winner this season, and that is Chad Oxendine. Comes into the night 3rd place in the point standings, and without a doubt, he's someone that you have to look out for over the course of 200 miles tonight. Although last week he was a driver that had poor fortune at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, finishing outside of the top 10.
We'll see here as Chad Oxendine comes to the line. His first timed lap will put him 6th quickest, and he's going to go on for his 2nd lap. How about it? Let's find Jared Darling as he works his way down the back straightaway here. The very bumpy back straightaway. Wow, look at the front end of that car just kick up over those bumps.
And we see quite a wide arc on the entry of the corner from the driver of that one Chevrolet Camaro coming off of the exit of 4. Doesn't go very wide out to the exit or the outside wall here at Auto Club, and as we come across the line to try to get a lap for the one machine, we see him slotted into the 6th position, and I think that kind of reflects, you know, the upward trend for Darling over the last 3 races, and in fact the last 2 races getting 2 consecutive top 5s. And now we go to the man who is, quite frankly, the man to beat this season, and that's Daniel Folkingham. a 4-time winner in the series and your defending winner as of last week of the Nashville Fairgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Falkingham looks like he can get it done at anywhere, anytime, any place. Is tonight yet another night for Daniel Falkingham as he comes across the line. This is going to be his first timed lap. Falkingham slots into third as he works his way around the speedway for his second timed lap. Let's see who else is out here, and how about it? Patrick Colby, who had a little bit of a rough time out last week at Nashville Fairgrounds, looking to improve upon that. And that is a beautiful livery on that number 9 machine.
Without a doubt, it is an eye catcher, and as he comes down the back straightaway here, this is at the point at which, if he does have any incident on the racetrack, not gonna have much time to reset and go out for a next run. So yeah, crunch time is here. Of course, you get 5 minutes to get 2 laps here at the Auto Club Speedway, which really gives you a lot of time to make a lot of mistakes, I would say. And this will be his first time lap as he comes across the start-finish line. Not going to be in the top 10 by the looks of it.
It'll actually be 11th for Patrick Colby. And Zoltan Herzeg right now is in the last time slot, and I don't think he's going to get back to the start-finish line, Zoltan Herzeg. So he works his way through turn 4. He's not going to get to the line, and he's going to start last of the qualifiers. That is wild.
If he knows the trends, though, it could very well bode in his favor, just based off of the fact that pole sitters in particular have struggled, and we haven't seen that winner from inside the top 10 in the last few races.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we get down to it, and let's see how the whole field will run down. And how about it, driver of the number 48, Will Klein, on the front row, and alongside of him will be the 00, I guess has been a change this week for Tommy Gossett. We find our way back to row number 2. Daniel Falkingham and Aiden Kirker will make up that second row. Row number 3, we will find driver of the number 97, Howie Briss, and alongside of him will be Tom Mercier. Row number 4, we're going to find Chad Oxendine and Zach Lindgren. Lindgren trying to gain points there on Darling, so that'll be another important battle to watch as Jared Darling starts from 9th. And at the back of row number 5, Hayes Booth, a nice top 10 starting spot. Is that what he needs to stay out of trouble?
It very well could be for a driver who oftentimes does start in the mid-pack. We do look beyond the first 5 rows, and it's going to be Patrick Colby, which we saw him cap out his run a little bit earlier, and he'll be accompanied by Ariati, who does need to make up quite a fair amount of points to get into that top 12. TCB, Tyrrell Baker, he'll be in that 13th position, accompanied by Daytona winner to open the season, Sean Williams. Next will be row 8 tonight. It's going to be Dylan Patterson, accompanied by the always aggressive and newly returning member to Pit Stop TV, Cole Freilich. Look for him in the Firecracker 400, of course. 17th will be Brett Punkari, and then second place in points coming into tonight, it's Zoltan Herzeg. And then rounding out your top 20 positions in row 10, it's going to be Aaron Smith. Really, his stock is rising as well, and it's going to be Anthony Emery, who won a race in Season 7 that saw half of the race under the caution flag.
We have a relatively large field here, so we'll find our way back to row number 11, and it'll be David Shutt and Cody Miller. How about our way back to row 12? It'll be Sheldon Lockie and Justin Gable. Row number 13, we'll find John Barry and Elijah Gracia, and in row number 14 will be James Simmons and Nicholas Caressel. Row number 15, it'll be Scott Shire and Josh Robin, and rounding out the field in the 31st position will be Taylor Frey. So, the field of 15 and a half rows deep of NASCAR Xfinity Series cars work their way onto the banks here at the Auto Club Speedway in a little bit of a weird formation. There's Tommy Gossett getting up there, and look at that 00. Mane and tail, I believe Starcom inspired 00, so that'll be something to watch. I like the livery. It's a bright car. I think it's perfect here for SoCal and the vibe we get here. Now, everybody working their way down the back straightaway. Let's take a look at the weather coming into today's race. Look at that track temp, 113 degrees. The track temp, air temp only 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's something to watch. We'll see if that track temp drops from there. Winds 7 miles per hour out of the southwest. And as we work our way through turns 3 and 4, we have to bring in the man himself. And we will see here. We can bring in the hype man himself to hype us all up for this Auto Club Speedway start here in NORC. TCB, take it away.
All right, boys, here I hear it. SoCal! Hopefully, don't tear this track down. Can I get a good old SoCal? Yeah!
We got a wreck in the back. Several cars around, and the caution's going to come out early here at Auto Club. Big mess in the back.
And we just heard from one of those drivers who gave the traditional welcoming of a NORC iRacing Series race. It's going to be TCB. Also saw Hayes Booth spinning in at least a couple more. Not sure that I saw much critical contact in that instance, though, lucky for these drivers, but it is going to be a pretty slow start to the running here at Auto Club, unfortunately, in a race that we've seen historically could be plagued by cautions.
Yeah, the record, or the last time out, these NORC had these NASCAR Xfinity style cars at the Auto Club Speedway. They ran half that race under caution. A lot of caution laps, and that, unfortunately, we might be starting that trend tonight. And right there, I think Hayes Booth just got loose in the middle of 1 and 2, right in front of TCB, and David Shutt just a little bit of contact there with TCB, and I think that's it. This is a relatively small incident, starting from the heart of the front of the field.
Yeah, by the looks of it, I would say the couple points of concern would be for both David Shutt and TCB, respectively. While it wasn't, in either instance, a heavy instance of contact, it's still to an area where the engine is, so, and any engine damage at a racetrack that's so reliant on top speed is going to be something that can be incredibly damaging for those drivers. So we'll get another perspective from the sky this time.
We'll see here, all the checkup on the inside. I really didn't have anything to... Oh, Cole Freilich got TCB there and David Shutt for good measure. A little bit of contact there for Justin Gable. And Scott Shire was able to come to a complete stop in that one as well. You see the times flashing across the screen as the drivers come around and catch the safety vehicle.
No, you don't necessarily want to start at the back of the field, but at a racetrack like this, where the field can get incredibly aggressive just because of how critical track position is, doesn't necessarily mean always that it's going to be a net negative result at the end of the day to start it back into the field.
Right. And while the front position has, I guess, its fair share of luck, if you will, not in the favor of the pole sitter. We're gonna try to see if we can get a word in with our pole sitter. Looking around here, see if we can. Actually, I don't think we'll be able to. But let's see who is around for us to grab. And I think now we have to talk to the man with Uncle Mo on his side, Daniel Falkingham. A qualifying spot here up third here at Auto Club. Is this what you needed, I guess, for a great outlook for a 100-lapper?
Yeah, it's definitely always good to start out front and whatnot, but I know we got a pretty long race ahead of us, so even if I didn't get a good lap and start out back, we would have had probably no problem getting to the front. But just glad we kind of gave ourselves some track position, give ourselves some options for how this race is going to play out and whatnot. So yeah, definitely looking forward to see how this race turns out, especially with all the multiple lane racing that you're going to see. Hopefully we'll get to not have too many cautions, because you guys are going to see some great racing tonight.
Absolutely. We heard how excited drivers were coming into Auto Club last week with the updates that iRacing has done to the Speedway. Are they what they were advertised? Is it really going to be a spectacle for us tonight?
Yeah, I think so. I was repping the high line of 1 and 2 a lot of times in practice, trying to see like what lane's gonna be better, especially for a long run. I've been trying to rip the bottom a little bit to see if that would be better for tires or whatnot. So doing a little bit of experimenting, but we're gonna be all over the racetrack tonight. So you guys are definitely in for a spectacle, that's for sure.
Well, you love to hear it. All right, Daniel, we're working our way to the back straightaway here on the 1 to green. Who do you got to shout out? Who do you got to thank?
Yeah, I just got to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. You guys kill it with the broadcast all week. Hope you guys have a good show tonight. I got to thank Revan for putting on this league, as always. And got to thank everyone who comes out and races each and every week. Thanks to all the fans who watch us each and every week as well. And yeah, got to thank my personal sponsors, Richard Bayloff 207 as well.
Absolutely. All right, Daniel, we're going to leave you to it. Best luck to you in this race. A nice job on the starting position up front.
Thanks. Enjoy the show, fellas.
Absolutely. And that was driver of the number 20, Daniel Falkingham. And we talk to him a lot here on the channel, so I guess we get used to it, but it is quite enjoyable to talk to Daniel and to hear his perspective on all things racing. But as the field of 31 NASCAR Xfinity Series cars, attempt number 2, I say, as the iRacing.com safety car finds its safety in the pit lane, Will Klein has elected the outside, and we are green from Auto Club. A much cleaner start for the field. They're working their way relatively single files. You work away into turn 3, and here comes Falkingham to the inside of Tommy Gossett for third.
And as we come to forward, it'll be the first completed green flag lap here at the Auto Club Speedway today. It will be the completion of lap 5, but I think we're going to get a healthy running here. Still side by side for that third position as we come across the start-finish line. And unfortunately for Falkingham, there is a lot of help in forms of a slipstream for Tommy Gossett, and it's going to keep them dead even going into the entry of turn 1. Still seeing multiple lanes being utilized effectively. Unfortunately, Gossett will have to concede, but he's going to get a run off of the exit of the corner, looking for that crossover.
Yeah, Falkingham cleared for the time being. Here comes Gossett back to the inside. We know how aggressive Tommy Gossett will be when it comes to a front-running spot as well. He's got Chad Oxendine and Jared Darling in company in the row behind, and don't look too soon. We also have Tom Mercier and Howie Briss, who could use a great run. How about up here way inside the top 10 early at Auto Club? Can they maintain that down the front straightaway? Jared Darling nudging Daniel Falkingham out ahead, but will it be enough? And Anthony Emery goes fastest that time round.
Emery, a driver who has seen his fair share of victories here in the NORC Racing Series, so I'm sure we'll see him enter into the picture later in the race. I don't believe he set a qualifying lap here tonight either. Of course, that can be fairly common here in the NORC Racing Series. We look ahead, though. It's Aiden Kirker looking to the inside of race leader Daniel Falkingham. A lot of action throughout the field, and right now we have a battle for the lead. Klein's going to be looking for that high line off the exit of the corner, looking for that straight line speed, and it's going to be quite the duel as we come off of turn 4 for the completion of lap 7.
We saw Aiden Kirker show some speed last time out at the Nashville Fairgrounds. He'll lose that lap to Will Klein yet again, but into turn number 1 on lap number 8, does Aiden Kirker have the early pace here in SoCal. Will Klein holding his own line way up high. Daniel Falkingham trying to work his way clear into third. Darling and Briss round out the top 5 down the back. Now Klein to block Aiden Kirker, who goes even lower down the back straight away, and once again into turn 3, Will Klein holding his own.
For the most part, to train on the straightaways, but then we get into the corner and we see a wide plethora of choices available in terms of lane usage throughout the field. So yeah, as you said, Emerson, it is going to be single file for that lead for the time being, but still a lot of contenders in the fray. Will Klein back to the point, and yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see how these lanes evolve over the course of a run.
Don't look too soon. Here comes Daniel Falkingham, and Jared Darling showed a lot of speed in practice as well. Now, are we potentially going 3 wide here off the corner? For now, it's double wide. Actually, they get singled out. Once again, Will Klein doing a phenomenal job, but is he using up his tires too much? Going down low to the Fed. Here comes Falkingham to the inside for second, and maybe to the race lead.
Diving onto that white line, not quite as low as you might necessarily see in real life with these NASCAR stock cars. And now as we get out before, it's going to be a 3-wide duel for the lead coming to the start-finish line. Only a tenth of the way through the running. Still a lot of grip in these tires, and these top 5 are putting on quite the show right now. Still the top 10 within 1 second of who the current race leader is, and that is Will Klein for the time being. But now Falkingham goes to the inside for that race lead.
My goodness, what a move from Daniel Falkingham. Was that a 2-for-1 special or what? In half a lap, he got the lead at the start-finish line. Will Klein took it back shortly after. Time and scoring put Falkingham out in front. Now Will Klein holds his own line up high, and Jared Darling tries to send it up the middle for 3 wide. Is he, I think, more preoccupied on the battle he's currently in, trying to get around Aiden Kirker, and now 2 wide for a second. Darling trying to search for second and maybe the race lead.
And for having been stuck on that low line coming off of the exit of the corner, Darling has a lot of straightaway speed coming into the entry of the corner. Klein's going to have to concede for the time being behind that of Jared Darling. still side by side for that lead position between that of him and the championship leader Folkingham, who's really only a lane or two off of that outside wall. He's right against it as he comes off the exit of the corner. Still a lot of cars in that fight.
Down the back straightaway, Falkingham will clear back out in front of Darling. Howie Briss into fourth. Will Klein trying to send it back down to the inside as Falkingham paints the white line through 3 and 4. Gossett and Kirker go at it. 4v 5th position. Oxendine, Audi, Emery, and Simmons. Simmons started deep in the field, working his way into the top 10 and at number 57.
An impressive run from a driver that we commonly don't see here in the NORC iRacing Series. The fact that he's climbed 17 positions in maybe 7 laps of green flag running. I think this driver, even if he's burning his tires away, he's earning a massive allotment of track position here early into the running at Fontana. And of course, there's a long way to go until we get those green flag pit stops. Yet again, side by side for the lead, and it remains the same story for the time being. Darling and Folkingham.
Jared Darling had the lead and the advantage down the back straightaway, but Falkingham trying to reclaim the race lead. Can he complete the overtake? Darling with the advantage, or the preferred line out of 4 to momentum to Jared Darling. He leads at the start-finish line, and how about Jared Darling, a race leader?
And we are going to get a bit of a role reversal, rather, from what we've seen a bit earlier, where Folkingham was riding the high line in the middle stages of this run so far. No, now he's going to be stuck in the bottom lane, and we see him a little bit of a kick of oversteer off of the exit of the corner, and now he's going to be struggling to maintain the momentum that Darling has from the high line. You see him continuing to fade back to the point that Howie Briss is going to be alongside that of the 20 Camaro rather. That's going to be a big dive from the 20 in the middle of 3 and 4.
Through 3 and 4 once again. Now Darling has the advantage and the momentum off the corner, and Jared Darling is single-handedly clear to the race lead, but Howie Briss is on his way. He wants his fair shot at the top spot as we work our way back into turn number 1 on lap 14. Now we're clicking off laps, and now let's take a look at just how many lead changes we've had so far. Only 2, I guess, official lead changes from Klein to Falkingham and Falkingham to Darling, but man, oh man, we've had some great battling.
I look all the way back to the top 10 at the interval, and it remains the same as we saw at the start of the run. It's still 1 second separated between all of those guys. And then you look back within the top 20, it's only about 4 seconds. It's almost what you might see at a super speedway, just in a little bit of a different degree, if you will, just in terms of the lane choices that are available to you, and the fact that we have a lot of off-throttle time here at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to go on board with a driver who has been consistent throughout the running. He's a race winner this season, and that's Chad Oxendine. He's going to be stuck on the top side for the time being, but he's starting to make his presence known. Starting to flirt with that top 5 as we're looking nearly 3 wide mid-corner.
It's tonight the time that Chad Oxendine can get his 3rd win on the season. Howie Briss is now really bringing on the heat for the race lead, and he's actually followed his way single file into the 2nd position behind Jared Darling. Here comes Falkingham once again. Kirker riding up high, trying to get 4th from Will Klein. Tommy Gossett, Chad Oxendine stay in the mix. Emery, Simmons, looks like they have found, I guess, where they have to ride for a little bit because just how aggressive it is up here, or will they fight their way into the fray? We'll have to see. But we're getting to the point now, we're about 10, 11, 12 laps on green flag tires here. On tires, 12 green flag laps on tires here. Nearly 3 wide for the race lead actually as we come off of turn number 2. I'll finish that thought in a moment. Howie Briss to the inside. I think he's going to lose momentum though down the back straightaway. And here comes Will Klein on Daniel Falkingham again. Is this Falkingham maybe using up his stuff too early?
I think that could be the correct assessment there, Emerson. Well, I would, in theory, think that the low line, with the additional wheel input that you have to put in order to manage the tighter turn radius, would eat up the tires. And it didn't seem like he was using it all that much. He still had his fair share of time down there, so it can make sense as to why we're starting to see Folkingham relatively struggle, even though he remains within the top 5 for the time being. And I think the other remarkable thing is that we're still seeing a consistent usage of just about every lane on the racetrack.
Speaking of every lane, Chad Oxendine, he was about to paint that outside wall red with his car. Just how high up the track he is, and I think that's phenomenal. That look at how high he's getting up there, actually not as high that time. But Chad Oxendine really trying to make something happen on that outside, trying to see if you really can, and oh my goodness, a big wobble in the middle of the pack there from Tommy Gossett and Anthony Emery trying to avoid. They figure it out. They file back in line. It's still Briss and Falkingham for 2nd.
And now we head into the entry of turn 1, and it's going to be a massive dive like we've continued to see from Folkingham. What it's probably going to mean is that it's going to be a massive loss of momentum off of the exit of the corner. And he's not quite going to be there with Jared Darling. Instead, yet again, he'll have to contend with the likes of Howie Briss and Will Klein as we head onto the entry of turn 3. Still a fair showing from every driver that's been able to remain in the top 5. We're starting to see Kirker fall off in the top 5. And now it's Chad Oxendine rounding out the final position of the top 5. And the fact that we're seeing side by side for the first 2 rows here, 3 rows make it now, 15 laps into a run is quite impressive.
Absolutely. It's starting to look like 150 mile per hour pace laps in the center of these corners. And Oxendine, how about he was right up against the outside wall, now under the white line through the center of the corner. Chad Oxendine using every line.
We head down the back straightaway, and it remains Jared Darling at the front of the field, but the fact that we're seeing this competitive fight, it just continues to astound me that all these drivers are being as respectable as they are with the amount of lanes that are available to them. Coming off of the exit of the corner, it looks like Folkingham's going to have quite the run. It just might mean that he might not have anywhere to go with it because Darling's going to be right along that wall on the outside of the start-finish line straightaway, heading into the entry of turn 1. Is that a little bit of damage we see on the back end?
Yeah, Ariati here in that number 23 kind of heading the second group, or I guess not embedded in the first group is better wording, because this, my goodness, this lead group, Will Klein, can he get anything on Jared Darling? Darling is defending quite well on that outside lane. But I should say Ariati is now kind of broken away from James Simmons. Simmons is kind of stalled out in the 9th position. I don't think that's really indicative of how how fast he is. I think that's just how competitive, and I guess this wall, there's not really anywhere to go if everybody's in every lane.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Emerson. When you see these tight packs, you might think, oh, the positions, if you will, are just right for the taking. But it can be hard to be able to effectively maneuver, especially when these tires start to wear into a run. And it seems like the pace of these drivers has been relatively consistent, considering the fact that the field is still as tight as it is. Just to provide a little bit of an update, it does look like we have one driver who is already DNF from the field, and it's going to be Justin Gable, running out the field in the 31st position.
Side by side for the race lead, Will Klein to the inside of Falkenham. They both dotted up Jared Darling early here. And here comes Emery and Oxendine in behind, and Will Klein is clear to the race lead at the completion of lap 21. It should be him at the line. Falkenham dives down low. Falkenham now with the inside line into turn number 1, and also David Shutt, I believe, has just left the session as well. So there's 29 cars now remaining to add onto your point tray. Back up front though, Falkenham, can he clear Klein off of 2? Not clear, but still side by side.
An incredible fight between these two. We have the pole sitter of the race and someone who's been incredibly impressive this season, and the championship leader. So we're getting to tell incredible stories. And behind them is a driver who's charging late, higher and higher into the point standings, currently sitting in that playoff picture, and that's Jared Darling. And then behind him, it is Chad Oxendine. So just the fact that we're able to tell a diverse array of stories early into the running here at Auto Club is just absolutely fantastic. And just to talk a little bit more about David Shutt, he leaves tonight as a driver who prior actually led the most laps in a race and won the race. He's one of only 3 drivers to do so here at Auto Club. The other 2, they're pro drivers on the iRacing.com service. It's Femiola and Bobby Zielinski.
3 wide for the race lead. Oxendine wants his fair shot. And here we go. We're right on board of Howie Briss here in 5th, and we get to see all of this unfold. Oxendine working over Darling, trying to get to the inside of Falkenham. Klein and Falkenham take the white line in 3 and 4.
And coming off of 4, we're still seeing that side-by-side battle for that position ahead. Oxendine trying as hard as he can to round out the podium for the time being, but Darling has shown perseverance despite how aggressive he's had to be with those Goodyear Eagles early into the running. And I think it's incredible, Emerson, that we're almost already a quarter of the way into this race, which I thought was going to potentially drag on a little bit, just looking historically at the fact that cautions can be common here at Auto Club.
Now you have to think, how long can these guys go on fuel? We're starting to get halfway, I think, through a fuel run potentially, or maybe just past. And you start to think of fuel runs maybe being about 40, 42, 45 laps here. With the caution early, is there a potential to one-stop it to the end? Maybe? I don't know. How about Anthony Emery into the top 5?
And Emery's a driver who's won here a couple of times, I believe, looking at our slot of information. available to us. Yeah, he's a two-time winner here at the Auto Club Speedway in the NORC Racing Series, and he's done it in NASCAR Xfinity Series car. So I think the fact that he has multiple lanes available to him, whereas that wasn't necessarily as effective in previous runnings here at the Auto Club Speedway, is probably helping him in his charge through the field in that car, which I'm assuming is inspired by the Mercedes-AMG F1 team.
I believe that, coupled with the number 44, maybe potentially a Lewis Hamilton shout here in that number 44 car as he works his way into the top 5. Does he have anything for the 4 ahead? We'll have to wait and see. Quarter way here at the Auto Club Speedway, and Will Klein all the way to the apron to try to break some of the slipstream here on the front straight. A little bit of IndyCar-esque racing, if you will. IndyCar, you know, last running here in real life back in 2016. Double wide, Falkingham and Oxendine. They work their way off of turn number 2.
That's kind of actually, Emerson, the product that I think we're almost getting today. Sure, we're not, driving around at 220 miles an hour, but the fact that we're still having a tight pack this long into a green flag run, and it's starting to spread out just a little bit so that it's not, side by side for, 5-6 rows deeper or whatever it may be. No, we're starting to get a little bit of single file, but overtaking is still incredibly common and available to these drivers if they're able to make it happen.
Well, here's Anthony Emery. He had a great run on Jared Darling, and he bowed out of setting it down to the inside of Darling. He's actually going to focus on the long term and focus on getting the run here on the exit. Look at him muscle his way to the inside of Darling, but Darling will get the momentum late. Down the back straightaway, everybody singles it out in the top 6. James Simmons has also worked his way to 7th, and he's working his way actually really to the inside of Zoltan Hertzeg here, which Hertzeg, remember, he also was outside the top 15. He was an 18th after qualifying. So a lot of these drivers moving forward and battle for the lead. Oxendine on Klein. And Klein, wow, that was close to try to come down to the apron to break the slipstream. And Oxendine in close proximity to that rear end on the apron.
Hey, it's paved, and I think, despite the white line, it's, in the rules available to you. So why not take advantage of it if it's going to help you? And as he comes off of the exit of the corner, of course, the inside line, it's going to have its disadvantages off of the exit of the corner, and Oxendine is starting to see that play out rather as we come down the back straightaway. It's going to continue to be our pole sitter, Will Klein, but yet again, we're going to see that dive to the inside by Oxendine, and, we continue to see the likes of Falkingham and Darling look on. And now, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, into the top 5, it's Anthony Emery.
Anthony Emery, he has really inserted himself into the mix. A mainstay within the top 5. Oxendine still trying to find his way around Will Klein, but he cannot. Klein scraped the wall there on entry. Here comes Oxendine.
Coming off of the exit of turn 2, it's still going to be side by side, and the fact that the tires are holding up as well as they are, it's just incredible that these virtual Eagles are doing what they are tonight. I have to question if Oxendine is going to not go for it. Well, I say that, but it also seems as if the driver has figured out the lower lines a little bit more effectively than, say, that of Will Klein, which could be why he's going to the inside. And in fact, he's going to come off of the exit at turn 4, side by side with race leader Will Klein coming to the start-finish line. If this were a drag race, it'd be by about half a car length in favor of Will Klein, already 30 laps in.
Is this the positioning Oxendine needed? Look at him even taking a higher line to try to solidify his momentum. Now Oxendine clears up high. Klein trying to get the crossover. Falkingham wants his way into the mix. Emery cleared to 4th. It is Oxendine out front. Car going off. That's Aiden Kirker going around. And can he save it to the inside? He's thankful there's a lot of runoff area down there. Kirker will come to a stop on the inside of the track.
I see a chink on the right side of the car. Whether that be a competitor or a wall, it's going to hinder his aerodynamic performance. And I don't know, just the fact that he was able to avoid a barrier. Just an incredible job by the driver who started near the front of the field, and unfortunately things are starting to go awry, which I feel like we unfortunately see be pretty common for Aiden Kirker.
And it is something. Here we go with Aiden Kirker overhead, and I think he caught the wall. That's the whole reason he went around. It's all by himself. Man.
And it won't be that 10 out of 10 save, but the fact that his car is still relatively clean even after that wall contact means he's still hypothetically in the running here, and he can still make up a massive allotment of positions here with the amount of cars that are on the racetrack.
Absolutely. That incident there for Aiden Kirker will drop him to last car running, if you will. And back up front, Oxendine leads Will Klein. And last car running, that has Aiden Kirker down in the 28th position. We've lost Elijah Gracia as well to the running of this race. About 6 laps ago is when he decided to call it quits. And Aiden Kirker maybe missed his box. He was reversed for a little bit there. Back up front, Will Klein. Now Emery, can he go for second here on Chad Oxendine?
We go into the entry of the corner. We've seen Emery just purely storm through the field here on this first run here at Auto Club Speedway. And I think it's only a matter of time before he gets to that eventual race lead. And he's doing it with the best of the series actively right now. Even if this driver hasn't been relatively active in the series, I think he's still showing a love and care for the series. And I think that's what NORC's all about. It's just a purely brilliant stock car series.
We watch still off the front end, or the roof, if you will, of Anthony Emery's car. He powers by Chad Oxendine through the center of the corner, but can he get the momentum on the exit? That falls way to Chad, as Will Klein has, I guess, the best seat to watch this battle for second going on from his rear end. Let's look at it. Wow, just it really gives you just a look at how wide, how vast different lines these drivers can run. You can even see further on back people painting the white line and people painting the blue wall with and around goes Anthony Emery!
Sliding into the infield grass here on the D-shaped oval here at Auto Club, and that's going to be contact with the inside wall, and that's going to be a lot of aero damage, and it looks like it's going to be a tow for Emery. And I wouldn't be shocked if the driver, who's part-time, says, you know, I can't get the win, I might just pack it up.
Wow, wow, wow. How quickly things change. And we'll see here Anthony Emery and what exactly happened. We were on board with Will Klein at the time off of turn number 4. Battle for second. Oxendine and Emery, they file their way in line. And Falkingham tried to get to the inside of Emery, and I don't know. I think we're going to need to take a second view of that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think onboards might provide a little, you know, or just a different perspective would provide a little bit more context. But I think regardless, the take could be just that, you know, it's fighting hard for real estate on a straightaway, and it could be quite awkward looking at your virtual mirror and your side view mirrors at Auto Club Speedway. And in fact, we'll go with the view from above, which should provide a pretty good context and perspective on this incident.
We'll see here. Clears himself behind Chad Oxendine. We'll see here who makes the first move. I feel like they kind of moved at the same time. I think Falkingham made the bigger move to the inside of Emery, but they both moved, I believe, their wheels at a similar point.
Driver A moving right and driver B moving left is not entirely uncommon, and sometimes it's just something that you have to accept, especially in oval racing.
Absolutely. We continue on. We trudge along in this 200-miler, and it is Will Klein over Chad Oxendine. Zoltan Herzeg has inserted himself into the mix. The driver who started 18th, up 15 spots. He's been as low as 20, so I guess up 17 spots at one point in this race. Zoltan Herzeg, does he have something for the 2 leaders?
You know, without a doubt, there's still a lot of time to play out before we even get to the end of this run before pit stops begin. And I think he's showing consistency. In fact, looking last time by, he's about 100th quicker than race leader Will Klein and an entire 10th quicker than that of Chad Oxendine. So there's definitely a lot of life left in those Goodyear Eagles for Zoltan Herzeg.
I believe pit stops are underway. Josh Robin on the pit lane along with Dylan Patterson. So I believe it is that time. Anthony Emery still on the pit lane from his incident. And drivers a lap down. I believe who've also made their way into pit lane. Tommy Gossett, Tom Mercier, Sheldon Lockey, Aaron Smith, Terrell Baker, Patrick Colby, and Cole Freilich. Now we await other drivers coming down the pit lane. Not that time around. But we still are waiting and seeing what's going to play out here. And how about John Barry inserting himself into the top 10?
Yeah, I believe this is a first on the day for him, and he's doing a pretty efficient job of running almost into the top 5. In fact, you look ahead and you will know that's Tyrell Baker, who I would assume would have pitted by this point, but no, Jared Darling stands about 1.5 seconds ahead, so probably the progress is about halted for Barry, and he has some hungry drivers behind him.
I believe so too. And you know what? Those drivers who have pitted, they're splitting this race. They are making it an official 2-stop. They're pitting at, you know, just after 1/3 of the way into this race. And oh my goodness, the battle up here between Falkingham Smith, who's pitted, and Zach Lindgren, who's trying to make up points on Jared Darling. He is one spot ahead of Jared Darling right now. But they're making this an official 2-stop. Those drivers who have pitted already, they are calling it 2-stop here at, you know, just past the 1/3 mark. Well, we're actually now 6 laps past the 1/3 mark. They might have pitted with 6 laps ago, potentially. Patrick Colby to the inside on fresh tires as well. So they're calling it a 2-stop. If you're making this a 2-stop, you probably should have came in already, because you're just losing time to these drivers who are making themselves officially 2-stoppers. But if you're stretching it for a 1-stop, well, you might be onto something here. We've had about 11 laps to go. Howie Briss comes off the pit lane there. I should make sure that was Howie Briss, and it was indeed Howie Briss. You also have... That was it. That was the only driver coming off the pit lane here. The drivers working their way to their center corner. I thought he was a little slow, but Cody Miller in the 12th position. He's just trudging along. Maybe the difficulty of these tires getting to him. And he's kind of in his own world as well, so not really any need to push at the moment for Cody Miller. But we are in a very extensive run of green flag pit stops, and Zoltan Hertzeg now gets a lapped vehicle on fresh tires out of him.
Yeah, and this is where you can see quite the difference between the fresher Goodyear Eagles, especially at a racetrack that can, you know, sometimes be quite the tire reader, whether it be real life or virtual in the form of Auto Club Speedway. But yeah, just to provide a little bit of context, Tommy Gossett on timing and scoring, he'll be the first car who has effectively pitted in terms of the running right now. Just to give a little bit of context as to which drivers the racetrack have ducked down onto the pit lane, you see him there in the 17th position right now. Now we're right on board with Zoltan Hertzeg, and you know, he might not have gotten to the lead on this run, but he did quite a job to get within a second of race leader Chad Oxendine, who's starting to affect him. Oh no, my mistake there. He's still neck and neck there with Will Klein.
And actually, Will Klein to the inside, and now Patrick Colby, he wants to take it 3 wide, but it's a 2 leader, so he thinks better of it. They continue on, but when these 2 leaders pit, at least for that, at the moment, it looks like they will not cycle out to the race lead. At least right away, they might. When the tires cycle. My goodness, Patrick Colby now sends it around the outside. The leaders still side by side. Oxendine and Klein. What a classic battle we have here.
And I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it just all around, it's impressive that these guys are able to do what they are with the tires so worn here. Seeing the fall off that we have so far, as we see Falkingham, our points leader, come down onto the pit lane, and I think this might be a signal for a lot of the lead drivers. But yeah, for example, just looking at Chad Oxendine, his best lap time so far today, a 42.3, last time by a 44 flat, so that's about 1 seconds of fall off.
So Daniel Falkingham claiming this is a 2-stop on lap 43. You know, oh, and he overshoots the box as well. That is not going to help. And back up front, Klein and Oxendine. It's still Oxendine with the outside and the preferred line, but maybe, just maybe, Will Klein can make something happen here. Side by side to the line, that was Oxendine.
And as you can see, it was not by much at the start-finish line, and they'll continue to put on quite the shows we head into the entry of 1 and 2. We'll see more guys near the front of the field come down to the pit lane, such as Jared Darling, Ariati, and it's going to be Taylor Frey making his way down onto the pit lane. So yeah, I think the pit cycle, especially for the leaders, it's formally underway at this point in time. Of course, the benefit of doing the undercut on the race leaders here is you'll get a lot of grip early into the run, but you'll fall off quite a bit near the back end.
So here's the thing, if you're going to try to make this a 1-stop, you would have to not only, you know, pit at 50, you also have to factor in, you know, the caution laps, maybe pit at 52. Can drivers make it 8 more laps? It's something to think about, because big, you know, 2-mile speedway, a lot of off-throttle time. Maybe people are clutching very early on the straightaway and saving fuel. Just a thought. Here comes Falkingham on Zoltan Hertzeg, who is now taking second as Chad Oxendine is on the pit lane.
Yeah, that's really going to shake things up, and now we have to see how long Will Klein stays out, as the undercut is effectively on for Oxendine. But no, that's an interesting point that you bring up, Emerson, and the fact that we see Oxendine pitted. I think that does kind of hint at the fact, as what you said a little bit ago, that maybe the 2-stop is in the favor, and that the 1-stop would be incredibly risky, and you'd have to do a massive amount of fuel saving. Of course, if you're going to do it, this is a great place to do it, because that 14 degrees of banking, it requires quite a bit of off-throttle time in the corners. Also going to see John Barry oversteer to the edge of the corner. It's going to be a partial blockage of the pit lane as he tries to get straightened out. Fortunately, no traffic on the way in.
Well, here are the names I think we got to look at now, and it's Brett Pancari. We also got to think about the drivers maybe who pitted on that first caution, got themselves some extra fuel to potentially pull off a 1-stop here. Pancari, Sean Williams is on his original set of tires, or at least the original fuel load. But Pancari, Shire, Caressel could play a strategy game here, and even if they're maybe 2 or 3 laps short, they could save that in this in the second stint. They make it a 1-stop. Here comes Sean Williams.
Yeah, all around Emerson, it's an aggressive strategy without a doubt. And if you're someone like Pancari who wasn't, contending for the lead, it might be worth going for. But it is incredibly risky, and it's just going to be a massive amount of saving. And you do have to question whether or not, the saving gets the job done in terms of the time you're able to save.
Well, at the moment, the effective race leader the effective driver who is the leader of the drivers who have pitted this time round is Tommy Gossett. He works his way through turns 1 and 2. The front runners that we were talking about earlier, Daniel Falkingham, is at the caution lights entering turn 1 now. So Tommy Gossett has himself a little bit of an advantage here. And we just continue to wait for Pancari, Shire, and Caressel to work their way to the pit lane.
No shock to see Gossett out there leading right now. In fact, he's been on the set of Goodyear tires for about 12 laps now, which is quite a bit more than a lot of the leaders have been able to take advantage of so far. So he's on a super undercut, if you will, but it means that he's going to have to pit relatively early into the running here. But if you like the math of dividing a race into thirds, if you will, it's going to work out quite well, because it was probably about 95 laps from that initial caution flag. And he pitted, I want to say it would have been around lap 35 or 36, which is just about dividing it into thirds.
So we have to look, I guess, at the time lost. But I think at this point, Pancari on lap 49, he has to be attempting the 1-stop at this point. You can't go stay out this long and think you're going to make up time on a 2-stop here, right? This is Pancari going for it, along with Shire and Caressel. We have the top 3 who have stayed out here to lap 49. I think if you're going to make this 1-stop work, you got to make it to lap 51, 52 maybe. And then you're going to have to save that final stint as well.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment there, Emerson. I think the interesting thing to look at among the 3 that haven't come down onto the pit lane yet, they're all drivers that pitted under that initial caution flag, which is giving them about 5 laps, if you will, more fuel in the tank. Even if most of those laps were under green flag running conditions, it's still, in theory, a caution lap still consumes about half of the fuel that would a green flag lap, or somewhere around there. So that's definitely something that could be helping them out here as they try to make this work.
To the pit lane go Scott Shire and Nicholas Caressel. They're going to have a huge fuel-saving hill to climb if they're going to make it on fuel. I think Pancari, he might have to come in this time, but if he could go one more, he might be okay. Coming in here, he's coming in now. I just don't know if you can make this, without hardcore fuel saving. And at that point, how much time are you really going to have? Well, let's see. Pancari just entered the pit lane, and Tommy Gossett's on the back straight. So, I don't know. This might work out. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
I could try to put a positive spin on it. And for these drivers, they're going to get a little bit of a period where everyone else will have pitted and will probably be behind them. And if they get a conveniently timed caution, it'll come at a point where they'll be at the front of the field, and basically everyone's going to have to come down to the pit lane. You're just going to be at a point where you're essentially going to be forced to get those fresh Goodyear Eagles. But the question is, how long is that period if you can't make the fuel save work all the way to the end of the race? But nope, as you said, Emerson, there he is. It's Tommy Gossett, and he's leading by a fair 4 seconds here. So a brilliant job on the strategy, at least to this point, for the driver who started pretty close to the front of the field.
Well, he pitted 16 laps ago, and I believe that puts him at lap 35 or lap 34. With that, you know, if you're splitting this race in thirds, he's coming in, you know, next time at about 67, 68. And then that would be a 33, 32 lap stint to the end. And, I mean, he lost a 10th in that lap, but if you're losing a 10th a lap, now if that, you know, stays consistent is another question. If you're only losing a 10th a lap, he might still be leading. He might still be in the top 5 by the time he has to come down pit lane in 15 or so laps.
I think the other positive you can take from this aggressive undercut is the fact that he's going to be close to not even losing his lap when he comes out of the pit lane. So that really mitigates a lot of the potential risk of pitting at a racetrack like Auto Club. Even though, you know, it's 2 miles, it takes a little bit north of 40 seconds to get around here, that's still something you have to be wary of, is the fact that going a lap down can be quite scary in the middle of a pit cycle.
Another thing you have to know, and unfortunately had a beautiful demonstration, if you will, with John Barry's pit entry, is you got to make sure you hit that pit entry. And that's every green flag pit stop, I should say, but you add to that risk by taking this massive undercut and nearly going a lap down at such a far off pit lap to other drivers who are going to be way out in front, that if you even make a slight mistake on pit entry, you could end up a lap down. You have to, you know, worry about a caution coming out before you can get past the race leader again. It's definitely something. I want to say, with John Barry being well inside the top 10 before he pitted, he's down in the 20th position, only heading on the lead lap. Cody Miller, Taylor Frey, Brett Pancari, Nicholas Caressel, Hayes. Well, that's it for the lead lap. Scott Shire is a lap down, so I have to wonder just how far back was he of Brett Pancari, because Caressel is still scored on the lead lap, so maybe Scott Shire might have had a penalty?
That very well could have happened. I looked at timing and scoring for the driver of the 4, and he did have a fairly extended pit stop. In fact, 55 seconds in the pit box for Scott Shire, and that could be the kind of thing that just virtually ends the day for the driver of the number 4. Back to that Starcom racing-inspired mane and tail machine, the Chevrolet Camaro of Tommy Gossett, and we are starting to see a little bit of a fall-off in that 00 car. The lead has gone down about, I would say, what, maybe a second since we started covering him?
Yeah, it's been something. Let's see back here, with Oxendine working his way around Aaron Smith. Oxendine is one of the, you know, names we were talking about as a mainstay up front. They have gotten past, Oxendine and Klein have both gotten past Falkingham, who short pitted them within this massive short pit of Tommy Gossett. And they're trying to work their way forward. They're still 4 seconds back of Gossett and a second behind Howie Briss. Howie Briss is now 3.1 seconds behind Gossett with 12 laps or thereabouts before Gossett should consider pitting. I mean, Gossett might... Man, Gossett has really made a great bet to lay in here.
With this execution, or rather with execution in the pit lane, I think the good news for Tommy Gossett is he's at least in running. He's in contention. I think we'll be talking about him running for the race win in the back end, and I think we're going to get to really see that unpredictability factor, because I see a number of names that can still go for the race win here. In fact, looking back to Zach Lindgren in that 10th position, it's only a 5-second interval between him and that of race leader Tommy Gossett. Side by side yet again, though, between Oxendine and Will Klein. These guys are just doing an incredible job for us at home.
Absolutely. Since they've broken away from the rest of the drivers in that lead pack or so, they have been side by side, I believe. They might have been side by side on pit entry. Actually, no, because they pit on different laps. But Howie Briss now ahead. This is a battle for position with the two drivers we were mostly associating with the front. Will Klein with the better, I guess, lane choice around Howie Briss. Oxendine wanted to go higher and got stuck behind Howie Briss into corner entry. Will Klein clears into second, 2.2 seconds back of Gossett. Now it might be time to start sounding the alarms in the 54, well, the 00 camp.
Oh yeah, that gap is coming down at quite a rapid rate. But I think regardless if Gossett's able to get a strong finish done today, it'll be a massive swing in momentum, because I think he's seen his fair share of struggles for a driver who can be at times incredibly aggressive here.
So we'll see here. Will Klein now under 2 seconds back of right now race leader Tommy Gossett, 1.7, and continuing to gain. Falkenham trying to work his way past Zoltan Herczeg, or Herczeg actually working his way past Falkenham. Herczeg pitted way later than Daniel Falkenham, and this is, I think, an effective pass in the overall race. Herczeg on 3 lap fresher tires than Daniel Falkenham, and around he goes. Into the 5th position, Zoltan Herczeg goes.
And I think this is exactly the kind of day I think we normally see out of Zoltan Herczeg. I want to say he's a driver that doesn't conventionally qualify, but eventually makes his way up into the running. And while he doesn't, have a massive allotment of this wins this season, I don't think, especially compared to the likes of Daniel Falkenham, he's still someone that contends for race wins week in, week out. And it shows just the fact that he's second in the point standings coming into tonight.
Absolutely. And while here goes Tommy Gossett's lead, it was, I think, fun while it lasted. Will Klein has now even opened up his advantage over Oxendine, so he's got a little bit of time to fight if he wants to as well. But coming across the finish line here, 41 laps remaining here in SoCal. Tommy Gossett, now for now, he might be losing the lead. We have to see also when pit cycles cycle out in about, oh goodness, how many laps or so. We're going to also have to worry about Pancari and how his strategy fares, because Pancari is only 15 seconds back of this battle. But here comes Klein to the inside for a race lead on Tommy Gossett.
And the Goodyear Eagles on that 00 have reached that cliff, and they're falling off it quite quickly. As we see, there isn't even a chance for Gossett to purely defend. It was overtake on the straightaway, and Klein's going to have quite the gap on his real, I would say, rival tonight, and that's Chad Oxendine. It's about half a second for the time being, as because of the completion of Black 60. Just to report on a couple of recent retirements here, we do see Annan Kirker and Anthony Embry disconnect from the server, as we saw a total of 9 lead changes. I think that's fairly impressive here at Fontana.
And right there was the 10th lead change that actually updated at the line. I don't know if that was cut away too quickly, but with 40 laps to go, we're going to step aside real quick. We're going to hear from our partners here at Pit Stop TV, and we'll be right back with the strategies diverging here at the Auto Club Speedway.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas, and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of 2 products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome, race fans, back to the virtual Fontana, California. We're here at the Auto Club Speedway, and boy, a beautiful, beautiful day here in SoCal. Working lap 65 of 100. That is 35 laps to go. And race leader Will Klein is on a charge. There's Chad Oxendine quickly trying to close that gap behind, and back to Will Klein. He has a 1.2 second advantage over second place Chad Oxendine. Zoltan Herczeg inserting himself into the mix with the freshest tires of the top three. This battle might not be over yet. Actually, Herczeg has the same age tires as Will Klein, but we know Herczeg to kind of save those tires a little bit more. There's been an unfortunate circumstance. While we were on that side-by-side, Tommy Gossett had entered the pit lane, and my assumption would be he had a penalty of some sort, what took well over the usual pit service time, and has then disconnected from the race. So Tommy Gossett, who was very well in contention, very well in position to steal a race win away with a phenomenal strategy, is no longer in the event. That leaves 25 running vehicles and pit stops underway. Aaron Smith on the pit lane.
And he was a driver who was going on a fairly aggressive undercut, and this is just about that figure of cutting the final 95 laps into thirds, if you will. Also going to see Sheldon Lockie pin in. I don't think we were seeing these guys necessarily contend for the win, but I think they might have things go their way. All it takes is one conveniently timed yellow, and their undercut can make them look quite brilliant. And if not, I think they're still having fairly decent days.
Well, let's see here. Theoretically, it's their strategy versus Brett Pancari trying to go really long here. I would assume Pancari, I mean, he's running 43s, 43-1s. I don't know. With severely fresher tires to Will Klein, and they're running 43-3s, he could potentially feel saving. I don't know. This is awkward for Pancari, or maybe he saw the amount of laps he had there, and if we stay green, it might be game over for the strategy. But if we get a time caution, like you mentioned earlier, this strategy might come to life. Here we go to battle for second. Herczeg and Oxendine into turn number 1. Red on red cars, and Herczeg is clear of Chad Oxendine with only 1 lap fresher tires. I think that's very important to note.
And Herczeg, I believe we saw earlier him starting from the 21st position tonight. So I just think it effectively goes to show that he has incredible, it was 18th position tonight, but rather effective long run pace, especially to make it work over the course of only having 1 caution flag so far in the 69 laps of running so far here at the Fontana facility Auto Club Speedway. My bad there. But anyways, we're really getting to the back end of it, and the fact that we still have a full pit cycle to go through is incredibly exciting, and I think we might get the chance to see Herczeg effectively challenge for the lead here as well.
Well, here we go. Daniel Falkingham on the pit lane. James Simmons is in as well, and Simmons is actually a couple laps down. Simmons might be done, and he might, he might have gotten a penalty, or I don't really know how Simmons fell a lap down. Nope, he had a penalty. He was in the pit lane for 40 seconds and is now just getting his other set of tires. So Simmons has fallen out of the contention for this race. Howie Briss, Daniel Falkingham on the pit lane.
Shocking to see drivers go for 4 tires. The fall off hasn't seemed ridiculously bad, not as bad as we might see at other racetracks, a little bit less than 2 seconds for the most part. But I think the 4 Goodyear Eagles are definitely going to be something that's going to come in favor for these guys, as opposed to the benefits of a 2 tires pit stop.
Yeah, I think Falkingham, he saw, he was in contention early and has since lost, I say, his touch with the race leaders, or at least the leaders on his relative strategies. I think it was time for him to just try something different, try to get himself in the lead of some sort of strategy. By the way, he's got 4 wins on the season and 35 points coming into today's race. He can experiment a little bit. He can afford that luxury to experiment a little bit and maybe use this knowledge later at another potential fuel mileage race. Who knows? But Falkenham trying something different from what he was originally on. He is the effective leader on that strategy because he is here just ahead of Aaron Smith.
And that's going to be quite the show to watch. The other thing that's going to be interesting to note, I look at timing and scoring. Jared Darling, John Barry, and Josh Robin all effectively come to the pit lane right around now. Darling was about a lap ago, I believe. Oh no, he's still into the pit lane, but no, it is quite the wave of mid-packers here. And while they're not necessarily running for the lead for the time being, this could send a signal to the guys up front.
Yeah, a lot of drivers on pit road. TCB and Caressel and Miller, so many more. Pit lane is busy. I think it's starting to become rush hour down on this pit lane. At least 6 cars in. Here comes Zach Lindgren, make that 7. TCB, I think, has since left the pit lane. And we are still cooking. There's Caressel coming out, Lindgren coming in as they work their way down the pit lane. Cole Freilich.
Freilich, a driver who admittedly, gets quite a bit of airtime for his aggressive nature on the racetrack. It's surprising to not see him that much on the racetrack. Doesn't seem like he just had a lot of pace here tonight. Doesn't mean something can't happen. And of course, he's going to be looking forward to the Firecracker 400 a little bit later into the week. I believe there's a little bit more running. And now here's a big one. It's going to be Zoltan Hertzeg. He was effectively running second on the racetrack, and now this is really, really going to shake things up front, I believe.
And this move could put him in the effective race lead, coming in with 27 laps to go. He'll stop on the marks, and we know how good he is on the long run. Now he's going to get fresh tires. This might be a race-winning move from Zoltan Hertzeg. We await the rest of his competitors to respond. Daniel Falkenham still heads that battle. Here comes Will Klein to the inside into pit lane as the 48.
And it makes sense that it, did not take long for him to come down to the pit lane. And of course, now the big question is, when will Chad Oxendine come down? And I think, at least in terms of the guys on this strategy, I think that will really round out the guys who still have a shot going to the end of the race. As long as we don't get a caution flag, of course, we do have to look out for the alternative strategy in the form of Brett Pancari.
Well, let's take a look at that now. Brett Pancari working his way through turn 2. Daniel Falkenham is entering turn 3. So, Pancari, if he can make this work, he's got a large margin. He could also save a massive amount of fuel. If he's going to have a near 21-second advantage when this all cycles out, maybe like a 15-second advantage, you can save a lot of fuel with that gap.
Without a doubt. And we've hit on it a little bit earlier, but this is a great racetrack to do so. It's not a track, it's all subjective, I would say, whether or not 14 degrees of banking is a lot. But I think the big thing is the fact that you can create a lot of off-throttle time here, especially as the tires begin to wear over the course of a run. So Pancari, it's going to take a lot, of course, but maybe he could get it done. It's going to be a stretch.
So the current race leader, and he's still the effective race leader, I'd say, on the... I don't know if there's really even a main strategy, and now there's 2 or 3 or maybe 4 different strategies, but Chad Oxendine is the current race leader and was the effective race leader for the longest time. Sean Williams is out there. Hertzeg going fastest. That's something to see. We'll see if Hertzeg can power his way by Falkenham. But Chad Oxendine, I'd say, he made his bet. He's got to go as long as he can, hope for a yellow to try to trap some drivers deeper in the field. But his competitors like Klein and Hertzeg, they're on the lead lap at this point. Oxendine is, just hoping for something to fall his way. If a caution comes out, they'll have to stay out, and he can come in and pit. But even then, like I said, they're on the lead lap. They could come in for fresh tires as well. And if only being the 2-stop strategy being used here, they still have 2 sets left in the pits as well. So I don't know. I don't know what to do if you're Chad Oxendine here. What do you do?
All around, it's a really sketchy zone to be in, whether or not you want to. If you're the driver of that 66, stretch it to the end of your fuel runners, try to stay on a similar strategy to that of your nearest competitors on the racetrack. You're kind of in that zone in between right now. So it's all around awkward. I think I might have to agree with you, Emerson. If you want to go for the race win, I think you have to stretch it at this point in time. Of course, regardless at this point, he's going to get a lot of life in those Goodyear Eagles at the back end of this final run. That's barring any caution flags. I think the other interesting thing to note here as we get to about a little bit north of 20 laps to go Daniel Fulkingham is leading the drivers who came down onto the pit lane. Of course, he's going to have slightly fresher Goodyear Eagles than the likes of those behind him, such as Zoltan Hertzeg and Will Klein.
Well, Hertzeg has 4-lap fresher tires, so and Klein has 5-lap fresher tires than Daniel Falkenham. So this battle is the effective battle on the strategy. I mean, I guess Klein and Hertzeg on their own strategy slightly, but these strategies are kind of meshing with Falkenham kind of bridging together. The drivers who pitted on 67 and 68, Falkenham who came in about 70, 71, and then these drivers who came in just 4 or 5 laps ago on 75. Now these strategies kind of meshing together. There really isn't, I guess, a clear, definitive what strategy is where. Question mark. I'd say Falkenham is of those who pitted is the leader at the moment, but here comes Hertzeg and Klein.
And it makes sense that that grip is providing them what they are, and just all around a very effective job from those two. And it's, another thing we've been hitting on, but we've seen a lot of similar stories throughout the day. But the fact that these two haven't been able to separate has just been something that we at home have been able to greatly benefit from tonight. The question becomes now, it's going to be tough, of course, for Oxendine from this point, but what life will he have in these tires? Will he have anything to challenge these two?
Side by side, 40 degrees for the lead in this strategy. Zoltan Hertzeg trying to take the effective race lead away from Daniel Falkenham if Pancari cannot make it. I think is the if at the moment. And Hertzeg is a good 24 seconds back of Brett Pancari, who is on the front straightaway battling for the actual second position in the running order. Sean Williams, he's on a similar strategy to Brett Pancari, but on 4-lap older tires, and Williams is going to need some major help if he's going to make his strategy work out.
Without a doubt, and we keep mentioning this one as well, but that caution would mean so much at this point in time.
Man. I mean, even if this doesn't play out all the way to the end and we do get that caution, Pancari then gets the advantage of track position. This is huge, and at this point, most of the drivers who have pitted are probably going to come in and pit again since they have 2 sets lined in the pits. Pancari might make out good if a caution does come out, or if one doesn't. We'll have to see how it all plays out. Sean Williams still keeping touch with Brett Pancari. Again, these guys still 7 seconds behind actual race leader Chad Oxendine, who has put Dylan Patterson, I believe, an effective lap down. Let's see timing and scoring and what strategy he's on. I believe Patterson might be an effective lap down. No, he is pitted 15 laps ago, so we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Patterson actually might be catching Oxendine, or might even out here. It's really hard to tell, but Taylor Frey from the 4th position has pitted, leaving 3 drivers still yet to pit up front if they have to pit. I know Oxendine definitely has to, but Pancari and Williams could try something.
All I know is that we are effectively getting to see the unpredictability of motorsports in full effect. The fact that we have no idea what's going to happen just makes it a lot of fun, because otherwise it would very simply be just cars going in circles.
Absolutely, and that's, I think, the fun of it. At this point, like I said, we're so spread out. And because there's 3, 4, maybe 5 different strategies, I know the number keeps going up every time I say strategies, but there's so many different strategies, especially with Taylor Frey now coming in. I don't know where he's going to make up. I think that's effectively his race over. But this is pretty much a track day. But because there's numbers in certain places and drivers fueled up at a certain time, there's still excitement in this. And Oxendine here is coming up, I guess is getting to lap the vehicle of Patterson now to unlap himself. Patterson down in the 13th position, trying to get by the effective race leader for now, Chad Oxendine. He actually has, so he's not going to be able to make it to the end, but he can go really long. He has 6 laps less fuel than Brett Pancari, so he can make this really scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a good point, Emerson, because what it really does do, it buys a lot of time. And while, I think the odds are slim of seeing that caution flag happen, especially with, as, the way you described it, brilliant, a track day at this point in time in some senses with how spread out things are. There's always still that slight chance, if you will, of seeing that caution flag here. So yeah, 15 laps to see what whether or not it's going to happen, rather.
Want to make our way through the field a little bit and give some shout outs. How about Zach Lindgren, who's been as low as 22nd today? He's held his own in this top 10. Very, very much so. Very much. He's ahead of Jared Darling right there. You see the battle between Falkenham and Darling behind. Lindgren needed a good run and a run better than Darling to gain on that battle in points. He came in 3 points behind Darling, so that tightens up if things hold out the way they are, no matter where they finish, if they slide up or down the running order. If they stay like this in this positioning, Lindgren tightens that up a little bit. And having a fairly, calm run. Really have not had to call his name for any reason other than him putting himself in that lead battle earlier and holding his own here in the 6th position.
I like how you compare him to Jared Darling, because in a lot of ways their seasons do in some ways mirror each other. The fact that they both didn't get off to the hottest starts. I'm not sure if I said a different word there, but they're really starting to storm here in the middle stages of the season, and the fact that they're as close as they are in points just kind of reflects this fact. Both storming up 3 or 4 spots of the point standings after the Nashville Fairgrounds. And here he is. It is the race leader, Chad Oxendine. And now we get to get a real picture of where he stands in relation to his closest competitors, at least before this last pit cycle, and that's Zoltan Herzeg and Will Klein. And now that makes Pankari and Sean Williams your race leaders here. Really, clock is starting to tick.
So here we are for Pankari and Williams, and Oxendine is still on the pit lane. Did he speed? Oh no, he's still in the box. Oxendine's race, I believe, is effectively over. Oh boy.
What absolute heartbreak. I think we always knew it was going to be a bit of a stretch once he committed onto the long run, but just the fact that it's this late into the running and you've committed so much at this point in time, your bet has, you would think, been effectively made, but then, you still have to go out there and execute, and the execution, unfortunately, doesn't happen, and it's going to be a massive loss in points for a driver who's trying to contend for that regular season championship.
Something to note here is Will Klein has gotten back ahead of Zoltan Herzeg. They were kind of nose to tail with one another, and Klein is now holding the effective lead if Pankari and Williams cannot make it to the end. With now 11 laps to go, it really is a sit and wait, because they're not going to make up 15 seconds. Even if they had fresh tires right now, they weren't going to make up 15 seconds on Brett Pankari. This is really the waiting game. Do they win? Do they finish second? Do they finish third? I mean, their bet is made. They played out their strategies. They have to just maintain what they've got and hope that things fall into their favor. Will Klein is 14.5 seconds back of Brett Pankari. Pankari, now he can run the slowest lap times he's ever imagined at the Auto Club Speedway to try to make this field last.
And his fall off, at least for the time being, is not the worst that we've seen, really. It's about 1.5 seconds. We've seen near 2 seconds. But of course, he still has a few more laps until the maximum output, if you will, in terms of fuel available to him, which of course we don't know, and we get 10.5 laps to figure that out. I think the fun thing, regardless, is that we still get to see the fight between Will Klein and Zoltan Herzeg, who continue to be relatively tight. And how about that? Zach Lindgren now into the top 5 with the driver who, as we mentioned earlier, has been really similar to him this season. It's Jared Darling behind him, about 2 seconds.
Nice run for Zach Lindgren to get into the mix, and Brett Pankari here, he's not making a huge effort to save fuel. I don't know if that means he's given up on his strategy or he is good, because he's not clutching it through the corners. He's not really extending his layoff time. He's just kind of running the track as you would on 30-something lap old tires, on 40 lap old tires now for Brett Pankari. So with 9 laps to go this time by the line, he has lap traffic ahead, which the slipstream, the draft, can help a little bit with fuel, but he's not making a huge effort to save fuel. I don't know what this means for the rest of the field.
It's a little tough to say. For us, it's sit back and wait and see what happens at this point in time. I do find it incredible, Emerson, that it's taken us this long for things to get really strung out, almost 200 miles into the running here, to the point where cars aren't, up each, side by side, if you will, and very tight on the racetrack. And it's going to be Williams coming down to the pit lane, and this might indicate about the point in time in which Pancari will have to come down onto the pit lane, because I want to say Williams pitted about 3 or 4 laps earlier than that of Brett Pancari.
Right, which I still think, 3 or 4 laps, you can save that at Auto Club.
Oh, yeah.
And then with a 12-second advantage, you can save even more. So if Pancari cannot make it, I don't see why he doesn't at least attempt to save the fuel, unless it's too far gone. It could be too far gone too, but unless he's really good on fuel all of a sudden, or he's given up. I don't know what the deal is for Brett Pancari. We're gonna have to wait and see. But Pancari leading as he come around with 7 laps to go. He's behind the lap vehicle Patrick Colby. And maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he didn't know he was gonna be 3 laps away. He was just going as long as he could and seeing where the fuel ran out. And I don't know. We're all kind of in the I don't know stage. Will Klein especially is in the I don't know stage. He's now opened up 9/10 of a second over Zoltan Hertzeg. Will Klein, remember where he started. He started from the pole. Trey, we haven't had a pole sitter in NORC win at the Auto Club Speedway. Is today the day that changes?
And as you say that, with coincidental timing, he gets a little bit of the right rear quarter panel into the outside wall. But I think there's a pretty, I would say relatively good chance of that happening for Will Klein. I just find it incredible. We've had about 11 races here in which NORC has ran here at Auto Club, and none of the times we've seen a pole sitter do it. And the fact that in the last 6 instances, winners have come out of the side of the top 10, it does almost bode some, instance of bad luck here at this facility. But perhaps this is the day that it gets broken. We still get about 5.5 laps to determine that.
Absolutely. Race leader is coming off of turn number 2, still working with Patrick Colby. 5.5 laps remaining in this race. As you say, Sean Williams on the fresh tires is powering by Cole Frelick. Does Sean Williams have what it takes to get a top 10? I don't know about that. Top 10 is the 10th position is entering turn 1 right now. And I guess if you have to factor in Brett Pancari pitting, Josh Robin is now entering turn 1 as Sean Williams is on the front straight. So Sean Williams might squeak out a top 10 today, even on the strategy, which would not be bad, because I don't believe we were mentioning Sean Williams in the top 10 at all prior to pit stops. So Sean Williams trying to find a net gain on the day, even though he had to pit very late in this race, and he might just do that.
It's gonna take quite a bit of an effort, but no, he's gonna have the freshest tires in the field at this point in time. So I think it would be impressive, especially for the Daytona winner. I want to thank Logan Detweiler for mentioning that earlier. Oh no, that's Cody Miller. I screwed up again. Sean Williams would have been our pole sitter at the Daytona International Speedway. But regardless, here we are, about 4 laps rather to go this time by for Pancari, and we continue to question, is there enough Sunoco race fuel in that tank?
This is a 46-lap stint. This has to be a 50-lap stint to cross the line at lap 100. He's got 9 seconds as the advantage. He ran a 44.2 last time around. Will Klein ran a 43.5. Pancari working his way down the back straightaway. Lapped cars ahead. This is something. Pancari works his way through 3 and 4. Oh no, is he slowing up or is this his line? That's his line. I think he's saying, oh no, caution on the speedway!
This is a real danger zone though for Brett Pancari rather. If the tank is incredibly low, you have to question if he's going to be able to make it around until the pit lane opens, because it's probably going to be, if I would have to imagine, about... Oh no, they might pit in this time by, because he should be catching the pace car, so he might luck out. But all around, what a brilliant strategy call if he's able to make it around to the pit lane for Brett Pancari. And now we get to see the origin of this incident. Looks like we're going to be focusing on Sheldon Lockie and Tom Mercier onto the entry of turn 1. Oh, cut to the left for Mercier, and that's going to spin Lockie. And boy, it's a cliche, but this really, really changes things.
Well, we'll take another look at this incident, and then we will see the pit stops and all of their glory and see what the strategy is here. I can't imagine many people will stay out. Maybe Sean Williams stays out, but we'll see here. Here we go. One more time. Oh, no, we might be blocked here by the buildings, the grandstands. No, we'll get a view of this up above. Similar view. Tom Merris here. I don't quite know. I don't know what to make of this.
All around quite confusing because there's just not a lot of room to the left to begin with for Mercier, and you're starting to get it in the point where I would think you would want that wider arc onto the entry of turn 1.
Here we go. Pit stops underway with 3 scheduled laps left in this race. Now 2. That means we're going to overtime racing here in NORC. And everybody's come down to pit lane, so Pancari gets a great deal of track position. Even Sean Williams has come back down to pit lane. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just using a set of tires. But I would have expected Sean Williams to try to stay out here. We watched the race off of pit road, and it is Pancari racing Hertzeg to the line and Klein. 3 wide at the line. Who got it? I believe Pancari got it. And he is the only... He's going to be the first driver behind the pace vehicle. He is going to be the race leader.
He continues out of the pit... Oh, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Okay. He continues out of the pit lane as if he's the guy to do it. And wow, just all around. Of course, there was a little bit of luck involved, but out of nowhere, Brett Pancari is in a position where he can win the race against guys that showed to be much quicker than him in qualifying. In fact, Pancari qualified 17th tonight, so he was relatively into the mid-pack, and here he is with a very legitimate shot to become a race winner here. All it's going to take is 4 miles around the Auto Club Speedway with some of the series' best, and that's it. It's his.
Brett Pancari has been as low as 27. Like you said, he started 17th. He's led 19 laps today. We didn't know if the strategy was going to work. Maybe he was coming down the pit lane at that time, but as the caution came out, with so few laps left in this race, we're going overtime racing. I believe these drivers ahead are going to get waved around. Yep, John Barry as well, which means we are going to have 21 cars on the lead lap. If you reckon the white flag now, that is a huge blow in the point standings with 21 cars on the lead lap. But we're on the wintergreen. I wasn't even planning to get a driver's interview here because I would not want to be bothered if I was the driver in this scenario up here. I mean, let's go through it. We have Brett Pancari, of course, on the front row, fresh tires, has strategized his way, not even luck, he strategized, and what got the by virtue of a caution, is the leader with fresh tires, equal footing to the guy who was outside, Will Klein, who started on the pole. Road to Hertzeg and Zach Lindgren, trying to get himself a nice podium here today. Daniel Falkinen, who was falling back on his strategy, in 5th. Howie Briss, Aaron Smith, Jared Darling, Sheldon Lockey, and Sean Williams. Earlier today, the track temp was 113 degrees. Now it is 99 degrees, so the track has cooled off. We are getting ready for overtime here in SoCal. 200 miles was not good enough under the Southern California sun. Here we go. The field of NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. 11.5 rows deep. VIRacing.com pace car will find its safety in the pit lane. We are green from Auto Club. Overtime. Sideways out of turn 2 with Zoltan Hertzeg. A beautiful jump for Brett Pancari. It all comes down to this. Can we make it back to the white? And does Will Klein have anything for Pancari? Will Klein trying to break the curse of the pole sitter here at Auto Club as we come through turns 3 and 4. Can we make it to the start-finish line? It is Brett Pancari out in front. White flag is in the air.
And as a leader on the iRacing.com service, the restart is fully in your control. And oh boy, did Pancari take advantage of it. And with the second place car and third place cars respectively side by side, I think it's going to take a miracle for anyone to upset Pancari at this point in time. And in result, it's created...
Oh my goodness, up and over is Cole Freilich.
With iRacing rules, though, we stay green and we see, I believe that's Hertzeg, who has gotten clear of Will Klein, and we're going to see if there's a dive bomb. No, he's going to go for the high line through 3 and 4 and looking for that drag race to the line.
Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Does Hertzeg have anything? The drag race to the line. To the line we go. Brett Pancari down low. Zoltan Hertzeg out high. Is it going to be? Waiting for scoring. I believe it was Pancari by 3/1000ths of a second. Oh my goodness.
And it may have taken a little bit of luck, but I think luck's just a part of it. He did a bunch of hard work to get to this point in time. Strategy played out brilliantly for Brett Pancari, and he did it against some of the series' best. Wow. What a win. What a race.
What a job. And Hertzeg, I didn't think he was going to get close enough. I did not think he was going to have that much of a run, and boy, he did. He almost stole that from Pancari at the last second. And you know what else, Trey? The pole sitter did not win once again. Brett Pancari gets to do donuts. He spins it out in the grass. He gets to celebrate in SoCal. The victory for the 35 of Brett Pancari.
And I looked through the list of all-time winners, and I think we've just added a new one here in the NORC iRacing series with that one, and without a doubt, fully deserved. And no, as you said, Emerson, I think the fact that Zoltan Hertzeg gets within 0.003 of a second is incredibly impressive with how far back he was. But I just, that part went to show, you know, how effective multiple lanes were here at the Auto Club Speedway, which really played out for just an incredibly brilliant race. I wasn't sure what to expect tonight. I think historically on iRacing, this track, you know, it doesn't tend to be as multi-lane as you might see in real life, but no, it was purely brilliant tonight.
The Princess Daisy number 35 Camaro will continue to burn it down on the front straightaway. Don't go away. We're going to have reactions from our race winner and more coming up after this break. Brett Pancari, a winner in the NORC iRacing Series.
Sound art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it sound art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
SoundArt introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. SoundArt ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Welcome, race fans, back to the virtual Auto Club Speedway here in SoCal. Fontana, California did not disappoint. We had amazing action through to the first round of pit stops, and then phenomenal strategies playing out, and Brett Pancari somehow, some way, ends up as the driver out in front when a caution comes out, and then an amazing restart for driver of the number 35, Brett Pancari, a NORC race winner. How do you like the sound of that?
Oh my goodness, I was about to pit when that caution came out, and I had 0.3 gallons left, and I had to clutch it to save it just to make the pits, but oh, that last restart, my arms were absolutely numb because I never won in NORC, and I first started in NORC in like 2016 as like a mostly part-time basis. I'm still maybe kind of in later on, but I can't believe I finally won in NORC. I finally won. And it's not a Daytona or Talladega because all my league mates have come on those tracks.
Oh, no, sir, not a plate track at all. This was a full-out, full-length, overtime race here at the Auto Club Speedway, and you, sir, played this race like a fiddle. 23 laps led. Brett, we thought, 3 laps when you came to pit, it was going to be about 4-5 laps. Maybe you couldn't make it. I figured that was maybe attainable through saving here at Auto Club because of how much off-throttle time. But what was your view, I guess, on the fuel strategy if we, did go green to the checker? I know you said you were running out, but was there opportunity for you to save, or did you kind of throw it out the window, or what?
I threw it out the window a long time ago. I mean, I came in when we had the very first caution, the top up, because usually if we get like a caution very early on, if I'm like mid-pack, I'll bail and drop to the very back and then top up and then just go real long. I don't know why I do that, but just my thing, I guess. And so even though I got like to lap 50, I knew I was not going to make it unless even if I save a lot, it would have no chance. So so I was just banking on a yellow, and I did not think we were going to get one because the way the season's been, with the exception of last week at National, even though I wasn't there, it's usually you get a yellow early, then it goes green the rest of the way. But I was not banking on that happening, though.
I'd figure. So when the caution comes out, he said you had to clutch. Did you think that everybody was going to come down pit road with you? Were you worried about where you were going to come in? Or I guess what was going through your mind once you got behind the pace car on lap 98?
Well, once I got behind the pace car, I figured everyone was going to pit because everyone had like 2 sets of tires at least left. So I knew everyone was going to come in for tires anyway because we went so long. And the key was I had to try and get Will out of the pit so I can control the restart because usually I'm pretty good. If I'm the leader, I can drill him on the restart, and I drilled him just enough to I can hold off Will and eventually Zoltan because he was flying quick because I figured they'd be better than me because I'm not very good on the short runs. And and I figured I had to try and hold on as much as I could. And my arms were absolutely numb in that last little bit, I'm telling you. All
right, one more here about the finish. The run through down the back straightaway for the final time into 3. You see Zoltan not dive it down low, but instead work up high. What's going through your mind at the apex of 3 and 4, and then the run to the line?
I knew the car was going to get tight because I didn't put a lot of fuel in it. I just had enough to get to the end, and I was probably going to be overdriving it regardless, in just to get to diving real hard, but I mean real tight middle off. So I thought about going off to maybe covers only just a hair, but I figured just hoping I get to the inside line better off in Zoltan, and it was just barely enough to hold him off. If it was like a one more lap, he would have definitely had me, because I said I'm not good on the short runs.
Well, fuel strategy, an amazingly timed yellow, 3/1000ths of a second. I still don't say that's luck. That was a phenomenal performance, Brett. I won't even ask you about next time out, Dega, because it's Dega. But who do you got to shout out? Who do you got to thank for your first NORC iRacing Series victory?
Well, firstly, thank John Barry and everyone involved in NORC for allowing me into the league. I have yet to run like a legit full season. I got close last season, but I had to miss the last couple of races because of work. But they know my situation, and I know at some point I'm gonna be back to like a part-time status anyway. Just a matter of if, but when. But just thanks to John for allowing me into the league, and my teammate, or de facto teammate. We were teammates last year. Zoltan Herzeg, he and I were basically teamed up last season in the 87 Cup cars, and we did very well. And he's always really, really quick, and thanks just for racing me hard, but clean it to the very end. And everyone involved, I raced against in the league, and of course you guys at Pit Stop TV for broadcasting, and of course special thanks to Patricio Esteban at Daco Designs. He's the one who made this Princess Daisy car, and all my Xfinity cars are Princess Daisy. All my next gen cars will be Princess Daisy. My 87 Cup cars are Princess Daisy. It's like my calling card now. So it's like a weird dream I had one night to have a Princess Daisy costume when I was racing. I do have a Daisy costume. I was like, you know what? Let's just do a paint scheme. Why not? Make it so different out there than most of everyone else's. So, but thanks to him for the paint, and just again everyone involved in NORC.
Absolutely. Maybe Princess Daisy a little lucky to get to victory lane tonight, but congratulations, Brett. A phenomenal race. Again, played this perfectly, and you end up on the top step of the virtual podium. Congratulations, Brett. Best luck to you in 2 weeks' time at Talladega.
Thanks, guys. Yes! Yes!
You love to hear it. The raw emotions from our race winner, Brett Pancari. But there's always two sides to every story, especially a photo finish of 3/1000ths of a second. Trey Shuttlesworth is standing by with our second place finisher, driver of the number 96, Zoltan Herzeg. Trey?
Thank you, Emerson. And of course, Zoltan Herzeg is a driver we get to speak to a fair bit. He stands near the top of the points standing come into tonight. And the fact that he's able to storm from 18th to, it would have been about second or third on that last run, was wildly impressive. But Zoltan, 0.003 of a second shy. What led up to that point in which you were coming to the start-finish line just a little bit short?
Yeah, on that last restart, I got a decent restart. I tried first gear, and it seemed to work pretty well. And then also on that pit stop, I kind of short-fueled it, just because the car's been stupid loose coming off the corner, and I was able to kind of tighten me up a little bit, and that helped me get that run off of 4. And I was begging, I was hoping to get that win, but it's really cool that that Brett got that win. He definitely deserved it. He's definitely a good guy.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty feel-good win tonight. We did see you elect going into 3 and 4 on the last lap to go for a wider arc and a higher line. Do you think that would have been the best opportunity available to you to try to go for the win, or do you think the bottom might have also been something that could have given you a shot?
If I could have gotten to the gas a little earlier, I wasn't expecting to have that much grip. I knew with the newer tires I was going to have the grip, but not that much. And so I did kind of underdrive 3 and 4. And maybe that little extra could have got it, but you never know. I know throughout the race. It was just stupid loose, and I had really nothing for Will. Will was the class of the field for this one.
Without a doubt. So yeah, we talked a little bit about what went down at the end of the race, but I think a big story went all the way back to that early caution that set up for a restart on what would have been about lap 6. Did you have a pretty good idea of what you wanted your pit strategy to be over the course of the next potential 95 laps? You did mention that you short pitted on the last stop.
Yeah, I really just wanted to. I was trying to learn the track because I haven't raced this track with whatever surface update that they did. So I was just trying to learn it and try to figure out what the best thing to do was. I was running the middle for a while and trying to keep the right rear on it, but it was just too slow for the long run. But now that I look back at it, I think Brett definitely had the better strategy by pitting on that lap 6 caution or whatever, get that couple extra laps to make it a little bit closer to the end, and that definitely gave him the best chance to win. And I probably should have done that, but I was just then again I was just trying to learn, trying to get see if I can try to gain speed when on the same tires as everybody else.
All right, thank you, Zoltan. I appreciate it a lot. Before you head out, I was also wondering, since we'll get a little bit of an off week, we'll get a little bit of a break. If you know, outside of, say, if you want to count the Indianapolis 500 week, it's been pretty non-stop for you guys with NORC. But do you think you're going to be able to utilize any of the momentum from a second place tonight when we go to the unpredictable Talladega duels in a couple of weeks?
I hope so. I know. Then again, Talladega is always just like a crapshoot, and you just got to try to make it to the end with those races. And even if you make it to the tri-oval on the last lap, going to the checker doesn't mean you're gonna get a good finish. Just because it's so unpredictable with these guys. Usually there's a massive wreck at the line, and you never know where you're gonna finish.
All right, I appreciate it, Zoltan. Thank you for your time. Before you head out, then, is there anyone you'd like to thank, partners, friends, family-wise, for what was a very impressive showing?
I got to thank you guys for broadcasting. This one's definitely gonna be a fun one to rewatch. I got to thank everybody watching. Thanks for John Barry putting on the league, and I just want to give another shout out to Brett and congratulate him on that win. That was awesome.
Yep, thank you, Zoltan. Hope to be speaking with you probably in a couple of weeks then. We'll have 2 shots at it at the Talladega Duels.
Awesome, sounds good, man.
And that was Zoltan Hertzeg. He's going to finish second place tonight. Emerson, and what was a pretty impressive showing, and we still have one more driver that we get to talk to, and it's someone that is, quite frankly, his stock has really been on the rise.
Absolutely, and we bring in driver of the number 85 who got himself a nice solid top 5 finish. And once again, Zach, you're starting to string together these good runs. Not only is this a good run, you tighten up that gap the 3-point gap you had coming into today behind Jared Darling. A lot of positives with today's race here in Auto Club, but Zach, what's your take?
Yeah, we had a really good run going on tonight. I was hoping for a P3. It was looking pretty decently for us there until the last caution came out, but usually Auto Club isn't really my greatest track, so really we were just coming in tonight really hoping for a solid run, maybe a solid top 10. And when we found out we started having speed, and I knew I wasn't going to keep up with Will, Zoltan, and Daniel and all them. And Daniel had some bad luck befall him, and Will and Zoltan kind of took off, but they weren't really taking off from me. I was kind of sticking with them, so I figured that I had some speed tonight, and everything was going well. The last caution came out, and I got stuck on the outside on that restart. But you know, for a track that I don't really like, for the cars that were loose and tight all night, I'll take a top 5 and keep that going.
So it says here you've been as low as 22nd today. I think that may be pit cycle. But when you were up here, even before pit stops and all that, you were in the top 10 all day. You were fighting in that lead group that was so, I guess, crazy and intense before that first round of pit stops. What was it like in traffic with the new iRacing update and all that it had to bring here at Auto Club?
It was intense to say the least. I mean, you're not wrong. It was borderline chaos. I mean, the cars wouldn't really turn on entry if you were right behind someone, and as soon as they did, they would just over-rotate. Or for me, it felt like they would just over-rotate. They were really loose on the throttle pickup too, so you had to be careful with that. No, like you said, it was just chaos. As soon as you broke free, everything kind of leveled out and you were able to control your car. But if you were in the slightest bit of dirty air, if you were right on the back of someone, you weren't going to go far, especially if you got below them. You could not pass on the low side. There was a few times where I had to throw it in on Tommy to try to pass him, and it just wouldn't happen. He'd get around on the outside. So it was chaos. It was hectic to say the least. But no, man, that was so much fun. I didn't think I'd have that much fun here tonight, but it was exhilarating, and I'm exhausted.
Yes, sir. Well, if you are exhausted, you get a week off, a halfway break, if you will, in this 25 race season, right after race number 12. But this, like I said, you're stringing together good runs. What is the outlook for the second half of the season, starting with the Dega duels, and how do you feel about your run into the playoffs and then potentially competing for a championship?
If you asked me that 2 weeks ago, I would have told you I'm on the fritz. But after the few good weeks that we've been stringing together, I'm not 100% confident, but we're, like you said, we are stringing together some really good runs, and we just need to keep it up. With the Talladega duels coming up, we need to keep ourselves in one piece and finish those races. I feel like I'm decent at Road Atlanta. I think Road Atlanta's after the second duel, so no, I'm feeling pretty confident, especially for the chase. Hopefully, if I do make it, hopefully that's when I start really coming up. I really like mile and a halves, and I feel like they really work with me. So those will be the tracks circled on the map. But for now, man, we're just really focused on stringing together at least top 10s, if not top 5s, top 3s. I would like a win, but these guys are so fast and so consistent when they are fast. It's hard to keep up with them sometimes. So we just need to keep stringing together these finishes, top 10, top 5, and I think we'll be in a really good spot for the chase coming up. Right
on. Well, congratulations on your top 5 finish here today. Who do you got to shout out? Who do you got to thank for the great run? You know, the coming together, coming to life here in the middle portion of the season.
Well, I got to thank Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation for being on the car this week in HMS Motorsport Racecom. A huge shout out to NASCAR Diecast fans for always being on the car. Huge shout out to Elite Motorsports for keeping me in, helping me, always keeping me up no matter where I go and no matter what races I do. You guys up here in the booth doing what you do. Everyone at home watching, I hope we put on a really good show for you all tonight. Let's see. Everyone who puts on the league and everyone who runs in it, making it a really fun league to run. The brave men and women overseas defending us, letting us run here for free. All the first responders that allow us to stay safe in the streets. And that's all I got for right now.
Right on. Once again, congratulations on the top 5, Zach. And best of luck to you at Talladega in a couple weeks' time.
I appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. Driver of the 85. A great top 5 finish for Zach. And yeah, all these drivers seem, Brett and Zach especially seem very just happy to be here. Zoltan, of course, losing out on the 3/1000 of a second photo finish, that's got to sting a little bit. But all of these drivers, once again, just very, content with where they are at the very least. Pancari over the moon with the emotion. I loved hearing that. But Trey, we have some results to go through. And let's take a look at how the rest of the field kind of found their way into the little crevices and where everything was settled by the end of the night. Brad Pancari with the race victory. 3/1000s over Zoltan Herczeg. Will Klein, probably the dominant car, comes home in third. He started on the pole, though. That curse of the pole sitter at Auto Club in this NORC iRacing Series continues. Daniel Falkenham comes home in fourth after falling way far back prior to that caution coming out. Zach Lindgren will wrap up the top 5. Jared Darling 1 spot behind there in 6th. Howie Briss 7th. Sean Williams was able to squeak out a top 10 before pit cycles even started. We weren't even really mentioning Sean Williams in the top 10, so great finish for him. Aaron Smith there in 9th, and Josh Robin will round out the top 10, Trey.
And now we get to look beyond the top 10 at some drivers who may have had unfortunate days, or some of these drivers very well could have made up for what could have been early losses. Ariotti will finish in the 11th position, surprisingly only 1.2 seconds back, just shows how close it was in that overtime finish. Next it'll be Taylor Frey in the 12th position, and I want to say Nicholas Caressel was one of those drivers who was on that alternative strategy that Brent Hungary undertook, but I could be wrong there. 14th place then will be Sheldon Lockie, followed by Patrick Colby in the 15th spot. Dylan Patterson will be in the 16th position, followed by a driver who has misfortunes on that final pit stop. It's Chad Oxendine. He'll finish in the 17th position. John Barry finishes 18th, and then TCB has a lot of misfortune as he goes on to finish in the 19th after being involved in that lap 1 incident. And then Cody Miller, who won at Daytona, will finish 20th tonight here at Auto Club Speedway.
We found our way onto the third page, and I have to imagine that Cody Miller being down in 20th was probably part of the wild wreck that Cole Freilich had, and ended up having him 34 seconds behind the leaders. Up and over went Cole Freilich, but the fact that he was still able to cross the finish line is another thing. Cole Freilich will come home in 23rd, the last car in the lead lap. Then we get to Scott Shire and Hayes Booth, who will come home 2 laps down, 22nd and 23rd. Tom Mercier, 24th. James Simmons in 25th. Had great speed early. Tommy Gossett, 26th as well, with Anthony Emery, Aiden Kirker. A lot of those drivers, the 25th through 28th, they were up there in the top 10 early, just not able to seal the deal. Elijah Gracia there in 29th. David Shutt, 30th. And Justin Gable only completed 5 laps in today's event here at the Auto Club Speedway. But Trey, we think of Auto Club and we think maybe, the restarts are pretty exciting, and then you get really spread out, and then we're talking about strategy. And yes, that is essentially what happened, except the restarts and the aftermath of the restarts lasted the 40 laps off the initial stint. We were just given exciting racing from the drop of that restart on lap 5 to the first round of pit stops. That was phenomenal. But Trey, what are your final thoughts from today's race? I guess those 40 and then the work as a whole.
Yeah, of course, Everson. All I can do is add on to the praise, both in terms of drivers, car, track, especially the updates that were made on iRacing's end to make this an incredibly racy facility for tonight. I would say historically that Auto Club Speedway has been a place that's been fairly one lane, unfortunately, for the most part. But tonight, as you said, we saw racing all over the racetrack. All lines were available for use at multiple points throughout the run. And in fact, I mean, for all of that first green flag run until we got to a pit stop, we saw cars lined up in a pretty consistent train. And then they got to the corners, and then each driver took the respective line, but it was available to them, and it made a lot of overtaking available to the likes of, say, Zoltan Hertzeg, who stormed from the mid-pack to second place tonight, and there were others that were able to get the job done during that first run. And then, as you said, the restarts, very simply can't be beaten. We saw a ton of incredible drivers do their thing, and it was relatively clean. Only those 2 cautions, and then a little bit of chaos there in the end with the likes of Cole Freilich involved.
Absolutely. And we get to it, and we couldn't, put on this great show without the amazing drivers putting on their great performances out on the track. But here at Pit Stop TV, we couldn't make these things go round. We couldn't get these broadcasts up and running without the help and support of our partners like Tucson Sound Art. Your picture, your music. Use promo code PITSTOPTV at checkout for 10% off of your wall-mounted sound art device today. By Race Pace. Pick up pace with Race Pace, a community-driven setup shop and driver development program. By Permanent Makeup in Maine. You deserve the best care that money can buy. By BAM Racing Videos. By a race fan for the racing community. And by Whiplash Media, the official graphic and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. And, well, that'll do it from the Auto Club Speedway. Happy to have had you all here for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Keep up with all of our upcoming broadcasts starting tomorrow night, where we will see another 2-mile oval, that being the Michigan International Speedway, as it will host the IORL IndyCars for 500 kilometers of racing action. Then the high-speed action will continue as we head to the tricky triangle with the MSRA Truck Series this Thursday night, and we hope you're ready to wake up bright and early. This upcoming Sunday morning, Pit Stop TV will debut the North American Racing League with their exhibition race, their prelude at Road Atlanta. NORC action will continue in 2 weeks' time at the Talladega Superspeedway, a pair of 30-lap duels. You'll surely want to join us for that thriller. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media channels, like Facebook at facebook.com/pitstoptv, at Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Instagram at pit_stop_TV, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube at youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. For all of us at Pit Stop TV, Trey Shuttlesworth, beside me on the mic, Jacob Zala on social media, I'm Emerson Arden. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.